Well, hello to Leanne Shelton. We are in the studio today and we are very excited to have you here, Leanne. Welcome.
There's Katrina.
This is not new to you, this whole podcast thing. You've run your own podcast. You've been interviewed on a multitude of podcasts. But I guess for the people who are listening in today, I'd love them to know a little bit about you to start with. So maybe just share a little bit about your journey. I mean, obviously the concept around Beyond Default is that, you kind of were on a particular path in life and then you've chosen a different one. Um, Tell us a little bit about your journey so far and what's led you to what you currently do.
Okay, yeah, great. So I've been a writer my whole life, and I studied, creative writing at uni and wanted to get into journalism, and then I fell into marketing and internal communications and things. And then after I had my eldest daughter, I realized I didn't want to go back to, full-time work and part-time hours and all that kind of stuff. And so I started my business, Right Time Marketing, which was a copywriting and content marketing business back in September 2024. Sorry, yeah, 2014. Oh, geez, 2014. Yes, that's a habit. So
That's
2014, because yeah, my eldest was almost one, and basically, I was writing website copy and articles for people. And I'm like, this is great. I'm a writer. This is my passion. I found my dream career, my dream business. And then fast forward to early 2023, it'd been going around, along for 9 years, and conversions have started to drop. And look, you could have partly blamed the economic climate, but also you could blame ChatGPT that had entered the scene a few months before. And so suddenly I was competing with this free, shiny new tool that people could just go, oh, don't worry, we'll just write a website copy with AI for free. Why should
mm,
we pay you a few $1,000s or something to do it? And I did have this little pivotal moment of going, okay, what am I going to do here? Like, the writing's on the wall, AI's not going anywhere. I could bury my head in the sand and pull my hair out and rock on the corner and think my life is over, and still try to push my copywriting agency and keep fighting for, human writers. Or I could embrace the opportunity here. And I decided to take that because I thought, well, look, prompts, when it comes to like prompt engineering and AI, it's all about words. And I'm a words person. And no one was looking at the output. Like, everyone was talking about prompt guides, prompts, but no one was assessing the output to ensure quality content. And I thought,
mm.
hang on, I'm a writer. I do this for a living. People pay me to write quality content. And I thought, well, if I can't beat them, join them. So let me be that guide and teach people how to use AI to create that quality content they want to do on their own. And I had no idea what ChatGPT was. I'm a non-techie person. I thought I'm throwing myself in the deep end here, but I gave myself a month to understand prompt engineering and what ChatGPT is. And then I put on a webinar of how to use ChatGPT and still sound human. And I had 150 people sign up for this free
Wow.
webinar, 70 tuned in live, which is quite a big thing for a free thing. And I'm like, okay, there is a need here. I do have a purpose. I just need to change this move into this new direction. And yeah, the rest of 2023 was basically me experimenting with prompts and helping people create content, me working out what's possible and limitations and sharing those limitations. And I had keynotes and asked to speak at networking events and run workshops and all this kind of stuff. And I really loved it. And I thought copywriting was always going to be my thing. And then, moving into the last year in 2024, it kind of evolved into not just creating quality content, but became a bigger conceptual piece of a human first approach to AI, because I saw so many
Yes.
people getting caught up in the shininess and the hype of it and forgetting about what makes us human, and not getting lazy and over reliant on these tools, and how to be strategic with it, not just jump into the next shiny thing and look at the next update and everything. And it kind of went deeper, a lot deeper than where I ever thought it would go. Like, I thought it was just a copywriter writing with AI. But I fell in love with this thing, and that's when I officially started my business, Human Edge AI Training, and wrote a book, AI Human Fusion, which came out June this year. And this is my world now. And I do occasionally some copywriting for clients, like very, very occasional. But otherwise, I'm full all into this AI space now, and I'm loving it.
Well, Leanne, I mean, I still remember going to one of your workshops. Actually, it was at a networking event. You ran a workshop, and like for me, I am just non-tech at all, like just not tech. And I hadn't even really heard of what ChatGPT was. I'd heard people mention it, but I had no idea. And I'll be honest, I was probably one of those people with my head in the sand, just going, "Well, when I need to know that, I'll find out about it." But I guess for you, you could have chosen the head in the sand approach, right? I mean, you look at how many camera and film companies went out of business once, digital photos came into the mix, and how long did they stick their head in the sand for, going, oh, this is just a craze, it'll be over and we'll be back again. You could have done that and gone, how can they live without people? Of course, they'll be back, and there's always a place for me. So it took a lot of courage, for you to just go, you know what, I'm actually going to reinvent myself here. But I think what was really courageous about it is you didn't actually try and fight with it. It was almost like you went, well, listen, this is actually a thing that's going to go. And so, how do I grab onto that and leverage it for myself? So, I guess what gave you the courage to not stick your head in the sand, but have a go at this, because it's like a complete reinvention of yourself.
Yeah, well, before I did the webinar, I was at like a networking get it done day, and I was just floated the idea around people, like, because there were people freaking out about it, and those who were already hating the generic lifeless robotic content that was being pumped out. And that's why I thought maybe this is an opportunity here. And I just asked around the room, look, if I made this my focus and help people understand AI, and especially the marketing lens, which has been very helpful, because quite often ChatGPT and Copilot and similar, people use it for marketing purposes. So
Yes.
I'm like, oh, I actually have a really good experience here. And because I don't have an IT background or coding background or engineering background, I can talk about this in a way that everyday people understand, because
Mm.
I have to understand it myself. And for so long, I stumbled over what the GPT and ChatGPT stood for, and I still stumble over what all the definitions between machine learning and LLMs, and that still doesn't always flow easily to me. But what I've
I was
had to
going to
learn
say, you're
along the
speaking
way,
a foreign language to me right now, Leanne.
oh, I still just can't quite like then put it into layman's terms for people to explain properly. Um,
Uh-huh.
and so I think I've had a lot of imposter syndrome along the way. Like, it's not been easy, but I realized that all these other AI experts and consultants are also just learning along the way. And sure, there are
Exactly.
those who have been in this space a bit longer, but they have their audiences. And my audiences are the people who have no idea. They are starting at the beginning. And even, like, almost coming up to 3 years in this journey for me, I'm still coming across people who don't know how to do a basic prompt. They don't know how to train their tool to customize it, because we're so used to just using off the shelf software. And
Yeah.
generative AI, it's the first opportunity to make it your own by training on your business, brand, voice, and customer. And I'm still running that training now, even though it's been out for a few years, and it's still like a brand new concept to people. And so I love it, because I have so much, like, I've picked up so many tips and feedback from people, and some awesome stories about, being rude to it or getting annoyed with AI, and then it being, abrupt and giving crappy responses back, and me going, yes, that's another point for being kind and saying please and thank you to the bots. So I'm hearing all these stories, and people as well have got to know me as a thought leader in this space. So the stories often come to me, like, people go, oh, did you hear about this story in the media, and this and that? I'm like, oh, no. And so it's been great, because my brain also doesn't want to be researching into AI 24/7. I don't want to be reading
Yes.
every single newsletter about AI. I don't want to be reading about every update and every new tool. That's overwhelming to me and my ADHD brain. I do not want to then pass that overwhelm on to other people. So that's been something I've realized on the way, that I don't have to feel like I have to keep up with these things. And as long as I stay in my niche of the human first approach, all that stuff is irrelevant. And that's how I'm ensuring my book won't go out of date really quickly, because it's all conceptual, like pausing before you use it to write an email that you could easily write yourself,
Mm.
pausing before you use it to brainstorm something which really you should and can do yourself. I love talking about this, especially when I'm seeing people now forgetting these skills, bringing it back to the reality and saying, where do you want humanity to be in a few years' time? Like, do we
Yeah.
want to be caught up in this AI stuff constantly? Like, is it going to serve humanity? No. Okay. Make sure you're building those healthy habits right now. And so I'm really passionate about that. And I don't have to know about all the tools and all the updates. That's irrelevant if people aren't using it right and the strategy is all wrong and the mindset's all wrong.
So you mentioned about imposter syndrome. I mean, I think that people experience this in all parts of life, whether it be career or business or whatever it might be. How do you get over imposter syndrome? What are some strategies you use?
Yeah, I think it was just like just keep showing up. And every time I shared musings and rants and whatever on like LinkedIn, for example, and people would respond going, yes, you're speaking my language, or it's getting a DM from someone saying, I've never seen anyone talk about AI the way you do. Thank you. And that little bit of external validation that I am like providing value to the world. And there's been times where, like, literally running a workshop this week, and they focus on Microsoft Copilot, and then I say, oh, train up like this, and it hasn't worked. And I've had this moment going, oh, I look really bad. But then I spoke
Mm,
to my colleague and said, no, they've just made that update. And so I can't keep across it all the time. And I'm just
no.
transparent. Look, I'm going to look into this for you, and I'll come back to you and tell you how this will work going forward. I'm a ChatGPT person, full transparency. And I think that transparency and authenticity along the way has really served me too. Like, I'm not pretending to be someone I'm not. I'm not pushing myself 12 hours a day to keep on top of everything, because that's not who I am. I'm owning up to like the M dash debate and going, like those, the really long dashes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been using hyphens for so many years in my writing, and I've been using it all wrong, and
Mm,
just being transparent about, oh my gosh, I've had this moment, or sharing as a writer these ethical dilemmas of going, am I still a writer if AI wrote a lot of that, even though I
mm,
guided it?
yeah.
And so just by being open with everyone and having that feedback, and then my followers growing, like I'm over 7,500 followers on LinkedIn now, and like and hearing so many people are reading and recommending my book, and it's just all that validation of I'm doing something good. Keep doing what I'm doing. I don't have to go changing what I'm doing. And
Mm,
that's just been that evolution. And also just reminding myself, like I said earlier, we're all just fumbling our way through. We don't really know what we're doing. Everyone's faking it till they make it. All those actors, the AI consultants and experts. But remember, I know more than what I used to tell myself. As long as I know more than 10%, of, 10%
the
more than the
general
people in the room.
population. Yeah.
But now I know at least it's 60% or more. And as long as I'm there, and if I don't know something, I just admit it, and that's serving me well.
Mm. I love that. Just be authentic, but also don't try and be perfect. I think this is the thing as I'm talking to more and more people that do live a life beyond default. It is about going, you get out of a default life by not trying to make the life you're trying to design perfect. And as soon as we're trying to make it perfect, we're going to jump back into that comfort zone because we're going to get a real reality check that it's never going to be perfect. So I love that, Leanne. You mentioned the fact that when you first thought about this idea, you spoke to a few people about it. I know you're big into networking and working with people. How is it that how have you leveraged people who are on the same page as you or other people that might stimulate your thinking? How has that helped you when you're trying to move out of or into this space of designing this life for yourself?
Yeah, it's been so helpful because I've just been curious of where everyone's at with AI and what they need, and then going, okay, well, let me see if I can look into that and help with that and everything. And I do get asked semi regularly, how do I keep on top of all AI updates and things? And I literally say it's just from conversations with people and following other AI enthusiasts online, like on LinkedIn, and then just seeing what's being said, and then pausing to think about my own opinions, and then putting that out there and seeing what other people say. And my book, for example, I want to make sure that was as human written as possible, which
Hmm.
was literally talking about this with a marketer yesterday who's like, it's so funny. We now have to say this was human written. 5 years ago, you would never use that phrase.
Wow.
But now we're having to kind of justify, oh, no, it's a human written book, because in this day and age, a lot of people are cutting corners and using AI. But it's like 95% human written with myself and other human insights. So there was
Mm.
37 people who either just gave maybe a little quote at the beginning of the chapter, or they co-wrote a chapter with me, or were featured in a Hear from the Humans extract about, whether it's cybersecurity or legalities with AI or ethics and responsible usage. Because this was going back to the imposter syndrome thing. I didn't want to pretend to be an expert in AI, 2 years into my AI journey when writing this book. And so by bringing all these people in and their opinions, I've learnt from them, and then I've questioned
Yes.
them. And I look forward to, probably next year, running some like masterclasses with those experts, and going a bit deeper to what the chapters cover. But yeah, it's just been a really, because I'm an extrovert and I love talking to people, and everyone has an opinion about AI, like everyone, whether they love it. And then I'm always like, okay, tell me how you're using it. And then I'm always like that cautionary tale of maybe you're overusing it, or is that really a trustworthy tool, or whatever. And then those who haven't touched it, and me kind of giving them that assurance of, you're going to be okay. You can't bury your head in the sand. Or even, and this also happened the other day, a team of like basic customer service and data entry. And I said, maybe there is not a space for AI for you, because you've already got your
Wow.
templates. You've already got,
Mm.
this is okay as well. And
Yes.
even I'm just telling people, don't use AI for AI's sake. If it's not relevant to that task, if you love manually doing that task, don't feel like just because you can doesn't mean you should use the AI.
Mm.
And yeah, so this is where it all just fuels me, all these conversations and all these insights from people, or their confusions, their complications and challenges and wins, and it just, my brain's always like going, yeah. Where can I take that?
I can see the sparks going off in that brain
Yeah.
of yours.
Yeah.
So tell me, you have engaged a lot of people. You've been, obviously, as you say, you love networking. You're a bit of an extrovert. Um, what about the people who aren't so positive? Who potentially are. Do you come across criticism? And if so, like what's like again, people. Like, the world has got a lot of critics, right? And often it stops people from making brave, bold moves like you have. So, how have you handled the critics, Leanne? And how do you get yourself kind of pick yourself up again when someone is criticizing you?
Yeah, like I won't say that I haven't had moments of extreme doubt in those months. Like, say, for example, this year I did a big keynote for a big company interstate, and I felt like I smashed it, but they came back saying I missed the mark.
Oh no.
And I think it was because they really wanted a workshop, but they asked for a keynote. And the thing was, I was delivering this keynote right before dinner with everyone having alcohol and lollies in front of them. And
Oh,
so I'm like, I don't know how much you expected them to really get from my session when there was not a laptop in sight. They're not in the headspace to train tools or anything. But anyway, having that criticism from a big company, it was the first time having a big client. It really hit me. And
mm,
I did have to get my colleague to kind of manage that. Thankfully, he's an ex-lawyer and could kind of do legalese, and take over a little bit, because it really just hit me going, oh, maybe that I'm not good enough for this. Maybe, like, what's wrong with me? And I didn't get another proper speaking gig for a good few months. And so in that time, you get caught up in your own head. So often I've been my
yes.
own worst critic. Or like my husband has made comments, oh, you haven't made enough money, or when's this gonna come through? And I'm like, trust me, trust me, trust me, and trying to trust myself. And then, then I'll have some good jobs, and just in the last quarter, it's all kind of really picked up dramatically, and I'm feeling really good about the year ahead. But yeah, it's quite often just going, forget it. That's person's opinion. Learn from that. Like I was, for example, with that client, I was liaising with one person, and the complaints came from her
Oh
manager,
no.
who I never actually spoke to directly. So it was all kind of
Mm,
that Chinese whispers kind of thing. So I just don't think the brief came through clear enough. They also wanted me to deliver on someone else's content because my book wasn't out yet. Anyway, but I've basically learned from that. Now I need to speak to the stakeholder.
Mm.
So all these kind of like mistakes, all these problems, kind of finding the lessons in those. So like just recently, yeah, I've been very stressed and burnt out, going, okay, lesson in that. Let's try and not overcommit myself to 3 back-to-back things going forward. Let's plan my calendar out better. Don't go from that, I guess, that headspace of desperation and just booking in, oh, yes, and I can squeeze you in, and go, no, 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 let's have no more than 2 of those a week and make sure I have that headspace. I'm going away to a business retreat next week for a few days, which will really create the headspace to help me really plan out 2026 really well. But yeah, it's just all these things. I'm just constantly picking myself up again, talking to people about it too, not like it, letting it, I guess, take over my brain too much. Speaking
Yeah.
to my colleague has been a great support, and it's like, no, 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 you're brilliant, you're good at this. That's that person's problem. You know, you can like just give this time. With AI training as well, it is a long game. Like, it does take a long time for people to kind of come around, because there are these concerns about security or not thinking they need training. Oh, we've got this because we've watched a YouTube video. And so there's just a bit of patience as well, waiting for the industry to wake up, like, and be ready, see the value in what I have to give people time to read the book, acknowledge the book, pass the book on to people. And just trust the process a little bit, which is very hard for me as a perfectionist and a control freak, but trying to just trust I'm planting all the right seeds.
Yeah, and I think, the other thing that was interesting that you said there was around, um, you know, like someone might criticize something you do. It might not be in their eyes what they wanted, but what can you learn from that? And you learn things from that experience, right? Like there's no such thing as a failure or a mistake. It's just a thing we did, and it's like, well, what part of that can I take responsibility for and learn from and change for next time? But again, like you say, it's like, don't let it get to you. Like, don't try and be a perfectionist, right? We're not going to get this all right. When we're trying to live a life outside of, what is the norm, we're not going to get it all right. Now, you mentioned around you got a bit burnt out recently. I'd love to know, that is unusual for you because you look after yourself well. What are some of like the daily habits, mindset practices that you use to help you, I guess, stay in the zone of your business and what you're doing?
Yeah, look, meditation has proven to be so helpful for me, just because my brain is, yeah, very sparky and it's always come up with new ideas. It's not always good at just quieting down. And I do find the days where I do my meditation, at least just 10 minutes and just quieten it down, whether it's affirmations like I did this morning, or it's just relaxing the body and just getting back to like ground zero. That really
Mm.
does help. And regular exercise, which unfortunately, because I've been a bit unwell, I haven't been able to do it as much, which I know is counterproductive. But I do go to the gym usually twice a week in the mornings and try to go for a run once or twice. I've been doing dance classes last 4 months, which finished in a concert a few weeks ago. I love my dancing, so that was a good little outlet too. And I think just, yeah, not being cooped up in my own little world, like I was saying, like talking to people. Like, I do have a colleague now, whereas up until the end of last year was always me and maybe a offshore VA. So I think
Mm.
that's also made a difference to it, having just one person to always like springboard ideas. And when I start to spiral, like, no, 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 like, you're okay, or take over some of those little tasks and things. And 11 years in business to finally have that, it's been a big relief. But yeah, just coming back to that, and then and switching off at a certain time of day as well. I don't work at night. My brain actually doesn't work very well at night anyway. But with my 2 daughters who are 12 and 9, once I get home and then family life takes over, there's no way I can really go back to work stuff. So I definitely have nights off. I don't work on weekends unless there is a particular event or something I have to prepare for and just run out of time. But I otherwise don't work on weekends. And I think just having that that clear distinction. I'm working now, I'm not working with the family. I'm changing
Mm.
hats between, mum and I'm always kind of thinking of ideas, and something might pop up on the weekend. I put out a LinkedIn post or something, but ultimately I'm being present for my kids, and I'm not constantly working all through the weekend and letting it consume me. And this was part of the stuff for the AI things, because I was watching someone who was a marketer turned AI trainer based in the UK. And I was getting really caught up in how she was apparently doing amazing stuff, speaking to all these big companies, doing amazing keynotes that I wasn't doing yet. And look, one, she didn't have kids. She was newly married, but obviously could have the flexibility to work 14-hour days, and she wanted to. I don't want to. So it's kind of comparing apples and oranges. And she also would make some transparent comments about being burnt out. And I'm like, okay, well, you're doing that to yourself. I want to try and not do that, although it obviously happened
Mm.
recently, just everything happened at once. But it's I had to basically stop following her on LinkedIn just because I realized that comparisonitis was happening. And also
Mm.
Australia and the UK, very different in terms of headspace with AI. So it really, I've just had to like kind of assure myself, no, follow my path, not someone else's. And
Mm.
it is hard because, yeah, going beyond default, there haven't been any other AI trainers who've had 10, 20 years experience for me to follow. Um,
Yes.
like this is a brand new thing. I've had to just pave my own way. I did get a mentor who's been in the learning and development space for 20 years, because throwing myself full time into workshops and keynotes was new to me. Like it was an occasional thing before. So it has been really good having her on board and kind of saying, oh yeah, this is how you put together a program and all of that as well. So it's just yeah, sticking my own lane. That's often I've had to just keep reminding myself that too, and just turn off everyone else who's annoying me or making me feel
Yeah.
overwhelmed, and just go, nah, just. And I don't read other AI books either. I think it's part of that. I don't want to get caught up in other people's thinking that I may or may not agree with, and compare successes. And yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Great insights there. So having some strong boundaries in place, and then as well as that, like comparison, it's an absolute killer. So it's only going to, potentially make you feel bad about yourself, right? It's like it's
yeah,
really unhelpful.
yeah.
Okay, I'd love to know any particular favorite book or podcast or both.
Um, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts at the moment. I have listened to Diary CEO, and that's been pretty good. Haven't listened to any recently because I've just realized, I guess that's part of my thing as well, the extra clutter in my brain. So I just listen to music.
Mm.
I don't have Facebook or Instagram on my phone, just LinkedIn. That's also helped with the clutter. Books, I recommend AI Human Fusion, which is mine. Um, at the moment, I'm steering away from some business books because my brain can't handle that development. But I'm really looking forward to reading Red Brick Thinking by Donna McGeorge, because it is about taking stuff away rather than adding more onto
Ah.
your workload to achieve more
Mm.
by removing. So I love the concept. I know her personally as well. So that's the next book when I do jump into a business book. And of course, I've gone
Red
blank of any other books that I've
thinking.
read. Yeah, Red Brick Thinking. It's literally come out in this last month or so. And yeah, I haven't read it yet, but I've already heard some good things. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of other business books that I've read that I just obviously can't think of right now. But a lot of the stuff, it's just from, like I've said before, conversations with people generally who I follow on LinkedIn. So make sure you actively choose who you follow and don't choose
Mm.
people you don't align with. And this, just seeing things like people talk about leadership topics or the mum guilt. I literally saw a post about the mum guilt thing, and so just like little snippets of things rather than investing into a whole book about these topics. Yeah, it keeps my brain active.
Nice. I like it. So, as we wrap up, tell everyone if they want to find out more about what you do, how do they find you?
Yep. So look me up on LinkedIn, Leanne Shelton. Also, you can go to my website, humanedgeai.com. I also have a podcast called AI for Busy Leaders, which you can find on Spotify. And yeah, that's, I think, coming up to 10 episodes in. I've only just recently revived it, but I know I have so much to say, and I'm keeping it to like 10-minute episodes as well. So it's nice and
Oh, go
short and
you,
snappy.
Leanne.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I can't wait to check that out myself. So, Leanne, thank you so much for being with us today. I know that there are lots of pearls that people will get out of this session. So, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks, Katrina. Great to be here. And thanks, everyone. You know where to find me.